Hello there, Drew Hanish, best-selling author of Whiskey Lore's Travel Guide to Experiencing Kentucky Bourbon, and the host of the Whiskey Lore podcasts. And today I am going to be doing a tasting of Four Roses Small Batch. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Small Batch. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the distillery, because the distillery is a place that I really was looking forward to going to on my first trip to Kentucky when I started scouting out and learning about bourbon, and then that of course led to me writing the book about bourbon. And Four Roses has a fascinating history. I learned a little bit about it on a DirecTV documentary that they were doing on bourbon. And as the story goes, Four Roses, prior to the 1950s, well, even through the 1950s, beginning 1950s, was one of the most popular brands in America. In fact, if you see the photo, the famous photo at the end of the war in Times Square where the sailor is kissing his girlfriend, I think she's his girlfriend, and you look behind on the building in Times Square, at the top, you'll see Four Roses. Four Roses had a sign up there, and in fact, during World War II, they had to turn that sign off at night because they were afraid German U-boats might target it, so because it was so bright. But Four Roses was a huge brand, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. Why did it disappear? Well, the family sold it off to pay their taxes, and it ended up going to Seagram's. And Seagram's, in their infinite wisdom, decided, you know what, maybe, it sells well in Europe and Japan. Why don't we just keep selling it there? And in the United States, we'll just put something on the shelf called Premium Four Roses, and we'll just put the cheapest stuff in it we can possibly put in there, just a blend of some form, and that's what we're going to go with. So for the next 50 years, there wasn't a quality Four Roses bourbon on the shelf. And it took two men, Jim Rutledge, who was the master distiller, and Al Young, who was the distillery manager, to really get behind trying to at least bring Four Roses back to Kentucky. Well, as they were doing this, the distillery got bounced around between different owners. And ironically enough, it was when Kirin, the beer company is what I know them for, Kirin Beer, came in, bought them, and they bought them with the intention of bringing them back to the U.S. market. And so some of the first whiskey, they had to go try to claw all of this bad whiskey off the shelf, and so they could put good new whiskey out, and people wouldn't associate it with that old blend that was watered down, not really great stuff. And so the first two products they came out with were Single Barrel and Small Batch. Single Barrel is going to probably be one that you'll see as the more popular of the two. It comes in a slim, long bottle. This one comes with the, as Al Young says, with the shoulders to muscle everything else out on the shelf. It's a very substantial bottle. It's a very nice bottle, nice design with the glass blown out to have that rose embossed in the glass. Beautiful presentation, and a really good whiskey. I find this one is going to be a little more consistent. I tend to think small batches are going to be more consistent because you're blending stuff together, whereas single barrel, you're taking it from a barrel that could be different from another barrel. So there's a possibility that there could be some differences between the versions of single barrel that you get. But everybody raves about single barrel. The first time I had it, I wasn't in love with it as much as I liked the small batch, but I haven't had it in a long time. My palate has really grown over time. So sooner or later, I'm going to get back and try single barrel again, and maybe I'll have a bottle in my collection, and I can actually do a review on it for you. So one of the advantages of being bought by Seagram's is that they ended up picking up multiple mash bills from different distilleries, and so Four Roses has a very interesting system where they have 5 yeast strains and 2 mash bills, and then they basically make 10 different types of whiskey and then blend them together for each of their expressions. So it's really hard to give you a mash bill on this. They do it by giving you a 4-letter code to let you know what each of those mash bills are. And so anyway, this one, actually here, let me look at my notes. This one is OBSO, OBSKX, OESO, and OESKX. Got it? Yeah, okay. So just try to duplicate this, okay? So this one comes at me with some older character to it. I get some leather in this, and the wood notes come through. Maybe a hint of vanilla and cinnamon in there. And there's a little caramel, but it's not overly strong for me on the nose. It hits on the palate. Cracker Jacks. Wow. Oh, that's delicious. And then a little biscuit and pepper on the end to kind of finish it off. Probably coming from the rye. Maybe a little cherry taste in there as well. Interesting. A little nuttiness with that pepper heat is there. No Kentucky hug. I mean, I took a substantial gulp of that, and it didn't give me the Kentucky hug. So it's not aggressive at all. I think it comes down to, again, me really appreciating the craft behind this whiskey, because it's surprising when you nose it. You have no idea what's coming. I mean, again, you get kind of that general bourbon kind of a sense out of it, and maybe some age on it. I'm not sure of the age statement on this with all those different mash bills, but man, when it hits the palate, Seriously, I want to go to a baseball game now. Cracker Jacks all the way around. Think of Cracker Jacks. It's popcorn, peanuts, and caramel. And I'm getting all of those in there. And then that rye comes in. And again, no Kentucky hug. Just a really pleasant experience. I know some people rave over the Kentucky hug. Personally, I'm not a big fan of it. It's like I would rather have a whiskey that maybe lightly warms me, but that I don't notice it that much, And that's to everyone's palate. Some people will be one way, some people will be another. Maybe you love the Kentucky hug. So, and maybe Single Barrel will give that to you. I don't know, but I will someday get myself a bottle of Single Barrel and we'll do a tasting on that. Anyway, really enjoyed this whiskey. I think it's an excellent whiskey. Every time I say that I go into American single malts, I go into Scotch whiskey, I go into all these different types of whiskey, and I kind of push myself beyond bourbon to try to taste everything else. And yet, when a bourbon is done right, a bourbon can be excellent. And I just think this is an excellent whiskey. Until next time, cheers and Slainte. And by the way, like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video.